Hey y'all, welcome back. So most of you already know that I'm a huge proponent of solo travel. However, the whole reason I got into solo traveling is because I had a lot of bad, some mediocre group trips. I've had some good ones as well, but looking back, there were some things that I should have considered ahead of time, some conversations that should have been had. Not like a they did anything wrong or I did anything wrong type thing. It's just there should have been more conversation beforehand to make sure that everyone was happy once we ended up going on the trip, because travel is expensive, okay? And no matter what style of travel you like, I want everyone to have a good trip. So yeah, today we're going to talk about a few things that I wished I had talked to my travel partners about before, and a few questions, hopefully, that you can ask, some things that you can talk about to either disqualify some people from going on a group trip, or maybe you end up finding your travel buddies and you're off gallivanting around the world. So let's dive right on in. All right, so I took some notes. If you see me looking off to the side, that's what it is. First and foremost, budget. Budget. Show me the money, honey. It doesn't matter whether you're somebody who likes to go super budget, like you're a hostel traveler, or if you're somebody that likes to go ultra luxury, $1,000 a night type situation. You need to have that conversation with your travel partner and also figure out where each of you prefers to spend money versus where you don't. For example, there are quite a lot of people who would consider themselves luxury travelers, but they're like, the hotel, I'm only going to be sleeping there. So that can be a mid-range basic hotel, but when I leave, I'm getting the Uber Black. When I go to a restaurant, it's going to be high end. When I, do an experience, it's going to be VIP. I'm going to have a private guide, like that sort of thing. And then there are other people who are like, no, I care about where I stay because I like going to the hotel spa, because I like having a jacuzzi bathtub, because I like having a view of the city, because you know what I mean? So talk about your budget overall for the trip, but also get maybe not granular, but more specific about what people prefer to spend money on. I think that's incredibly important, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have the exact same budget. Okay, for you guys don't both need to say, okay, for the whole trip I want to spend $1,562, but it should at least be in the same ballpark. And I also think this is a great opportunity, if your budgets aren't exactly aligned, to talk about, or not even talk about, but to see how good you and the other person are at compromising. If your budget is a little bit higher and theirs is a little bit lower, can you meet in the middle effectively without it being an issue? Or vice versa. If there's somebody who maybe their budget is a little bit tighter for one reason or the other, can they express to you like, hey, I'm not comfortable spending this much money on something? Or are they just frustrated by the fact that your budget is higher? These are things that you need to talk about, because it's going to be a bigger issue once everything is booked and you're on the ground wherever you're going. 2, okay, this is a big one, and I don't think nearly enough people talk about this. If you're going together, you need to figure out what your expectations are, as far as if you're going to spend time together, if you're going to spend time apart, and what the ratio of that is. There are people that I've traveled with where it's like, no, this is a group trip, so all of our activities need to be together. Like, if we all go to a restaurant, it needs to be a reservation for 5, it needs to be a reservation for 8, it needs to be a reservation for the whole group, and we need to stay at the same hotel. We all need to go to the same museums. Like, this needs to be where we're renting a bus and we're all going to the place together. Whereas I am the type of person where I'm like, okay, yeah, we can definitely do activities together, but we don't need to be together the entire time. I really hope my microphone is recording. Let us pray. Whereas there are other people who are like, more like me, where, hey, there might be a day where you want to wake up really early and get photos of the Eiffel Tower. I don't need to go with you to do that personally. Or maybe there's a bakery on the other side of town that you've seen on TikTok and you really want to go to, and I have no desire to go to. I don't feel the need to do that with you, okay? Or while you're going to the bakery, maybe I want to get photos at the Eiffel Tower, or whatever it happens to be. You need to understand what the expectations are ahead of time, because it will be nothing but frustration for both of you. If one of you wants to cling on to the other person and the other person wants to do things that you don't want to do, and the person who wants to be off on their own, flying solo on this trip, wants to be off on their own, and there's somebody like stuck to them, annoyed that they're not enthused about the things that they want to do. Does that make sense? So those expectations need to be very clear at a time. Excuse me, it was a long night, y'all. I went to a wedding last night. Yeah, and I think especially like if there's a bigger group, there might be a mix of those people, and everyone needs to be comfortable with the arrangement. And again, even if it's not exact, you need to figure out what are the compromises going to be. If you really don't want to go to this museum, that's fine. Are you comfortable for this day or for these few hours that I'm at this museum to go do something else, even though you would prefer for us to be like together as a group, right? It just, all these conversations need to happen, and it can be flexible. Okay, next, planning style. Okay. There are such a mix of people. I think it's usually split in between like type A and type B, but I think there's a lot of gray area in between. Some people prefer to have every hour planned out of the day, or else it stresses them out. Whereas there are other people who are just like, I just want to be in this city. I just want to experience it. Once I'm there, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll talk to some people and see what their favorite restaurant is. Maybe I'll talk to some people and see what their favorite viewpoint is, what their favorite date night spot is. And once they're there, the city just kind of takes them where they want to go. And then there are people who are like myself, who might have 2 or 3 things. And I'm like, I absolutely have to do these things. If I do these things, my trip is complete. It doesn't matter what else happens on the rest of the trip, right? So there's kind of a mix of spontaneity and planning. One of my friends, she's so funny. She's very type A, but she is of the mindset that like she plans her spontaneity. So it's like, this hour to this hour, we'll be traveling here. This hour to this hour, we'll be at this restaurant. This hour to this hour, we're meeting friends. And then for these 3 hours, we can do whatever we want. We can be spontaneous. And then at 5 o'clock, from this hour to this hour, that's just how she plans. That's just how she is. And we've traveled together successfully, even though I prefer a little bit more spontaneity, a little more, whatever. Yeah, you have to talk about that, because if you don't, someone is going to be frustrated that there's no plan, and they like, not that they can't, but they just don't want to plan things on the fly. And there's going to be someone frustrated because they can't be a free bird. And that's usually something that people don't always talk about. It's usually just like, oh my gosh, I really want to go to Bangkok. I really want to go to Barcelona. Oh my gosh, I want to go to Barcelona too. Let's do the thing. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, another thing to talk about. Okay. The next conversation that you need to have is what everyone wants out of the trip. What type of trip is this going to be? Is this going to be a rest and relaxation type trip? Are we getting massages and manicures, or are we hiking up Kilimanjaro and going on night hikes with the animals? What is this going to be? Obviously, I think this one's pretty obvious, but similar to the other ones, if people's expectations are different, or if you don't talk about it ahead of time and things are just booked, there's going to be someone there's going to be someone disappointed. There's going to be someone annoyed that you have to get up at 6 a.m. to go on this hike. There's going to be someone that's like, look, I wasn't planning on being sweaty on this trip. That's just what it is. Yeah, and it could change from trip to trip. I'm very much somebody where one trip, I'm not leaving my hotel. Like the resort, the hotel, the Airbnb, the whatever like 2 block radius of my accommodation is the destination. Okay, my 10 minute, or not even 10 minute, 10 step walk to the beach is the destination. And then there are other trips where I'm like, I'm ripping and running, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and both are okay. But when you're planning a trip with someone, you need to make sure that the expectations for this specific trip are the same. Even if you've traveled with someone before, the expectations for a different place, a different time, can be completely different. They can vary widely. Okay, and then lastly, I forgot I put this here. Where are you willing to compromise? So I think no matter what the activity is, whether it's travel, whether it's living together, whether it's driving together to an event, knowing where each person is willing to compromise is so important, because things don't have to be exact. I think there are very few times where you find someone who travels the exact same way that you do. It is extremely rare that you find someone with the exact same budget. It's extremely rare that you find someone who has the same attitude toward travel. But if you have two people who are willing to talk about things, and this is sounding like a relationship. If you have two people who are willing to talk through things, clearly express their expectations, and meet in the middle about things, and this is not just one person needing to meet somebody else, this is both people coming to the middle, you're so much more likely to like not just have a good trip, but come back friends. Because there have been times when you come back from a trip still talking to each other, but you almost don't like each other as much anymore. And that sucks. You know, I think most people want to come back from a trip with their friends, not feeling any differently about their friends. And that's really difficult to do if people cannot compromise. Yeah, and you want, like, yes, you're going on this trip for you. Obviously, nuance, there will be times where you're going on a trip for somebody else, but generally speaking, you're going on this trip for you, but you also want to be a good travel buddy and make sure that the other person is having a good time too. You know, I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. And part of that is clearly expressing your wants and needs for the trip, what your expectations are, and then meeting in the middle with the other person. So try to find a good travel buddy, but also try to be a good travel buddy. That's the message of the video. All right, so just a few conversations. Hopefully you find somebody you're compatible with. That's a win. That's a good trip. That's a trip that you go on with a friend and you come back as friends. You come back still liking each other. And then you can have this experience with another person. I think, again, while I'm a huge proponent of solo travel, there are so many things that are very pleasant that you learn about yourself and another person when you travel with them. And some of my favorite memories with my closest friends have been ones where we've traveled together. I think later on in this trip, for context, I'm in Nigeria right now, and after this, I'm going on a safari with a good friend of mine, who you will probably meet. She says she wants to be on camera, so we gonna see. But we went on a trip together to New Zealand years ago, and it's still like one of our favorite just like travel memories together, being in this new place and the whole experience. So yeah, I hope everyone has good trips, y'all. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far, my name is Alexis. I talk about everything from travel, transformation, and working in tech. So if any of that is interesting to you, please feel free to subscribe. Every subscriber helps. I think last time I checked, I was at 85. So thank you for that. That's crazy. Never expected to get 85 subscribers, to be honest. So thanks for being here, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.